The room smelled of pine, spilled wine, and unspoken things, and in that moment when the lights blurred and the laughter sounded too loud, I realized how quickly a single second can redraw the map of a life. The music was still playing, the Christmas decorations still glowing with forced cheer, but my world narrowed to a heartbeat where power, fear, and choice collided. My boss leaned in, unsteady and reckless, mistaking silence for permission, and something inside me snapped awake. I felt the weight of years of swallowed words, unpaid emotional labor, and quiet endurance press against my chest, and instead of shrinking, I stood taller. I did not freeze. I did not disappear. I claimed the moment with calm strength, choosing dignity over fear, control over chaos, and a path that would change everything that came after. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet courage it takes to do the right thing when no one is watching, please take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel, The Kindness Chronicles, so stories like this can keep finding their way to hearts that need them. I had never imagined that a Christmas party would become the turning point of my life. For years, I had been the dependable one at work, the person who arrived early, stayed late, and fixed problems without asking for credit. My boss was known as charismatic and demanding, a man whose approval felt like currency and whose temper could empty a room. I learned early to keep my head down, to let my work speak louder than my voice, to survive in a place where ambition was rewarded but vulnerability was quietly punished. That night, I wore a simple dress and the practiced smile of someone who knew how to blend into the background, expecting nothing more than a few polite conversations and an early exit. I did not know that the evening would test every belief I had about power, self-respect, and forgiveness. As the party wore on, the laughter grew looser and the glasses emptied faster. I watched colleagues transform under the soft tyranny of alcohol, becoming braver versions of themselves, or sometimes uglier ones. My boss, who was usually sharp and controlled, began to sway between charm and carelessness. I tried to keep my distance, busying myself with small talk and refilling plates, until a sudden closeness made my skin prickle. The moment was brief but heavy, an unwanted intrusion wrapped in the excuse of celebration. In that instant, fear threatened to lock my voice in my throat. I thought about my job, my rent, the years I had invested in building a fragile sense of security. I thought about how easy it would be to laugh it off, to step back quietly, to carry the discomfort home and bury it under routine. But something deeper rose up, something steadier than anger and stronger than fear. I chose to take the lead, not in surrender, but in clarity. I reclaimed my space with composure, setting a boundary that was firm without cruelty, decisive without drama. I guided the situation away from humiliation and harm, making it unmistakably clear that respect was not optional. In doing so, I felt a surprising calm settle over me, as if the ground beneath my feet had finally solidified. The night did not end in scandal or shouting. It ended with me walking out into the cold air, my breath visible, my hands trembling not from fear but from the release of long-held tension. I did not know what consequences awaited me, but for the first time, I trusted myself to face them. The days that followed were heavy with uncertainty. Every email felt loaded, every meeting a test of invisible lines. I replayed the moment again and again, wondering if I had done enough or too much, if courage would cost me the career I had worked so hard to build. Yet, something unexpected happened inside me. I began to notice how often I had minimized myself to keep the peace, how many times I had accepted discomfort as the price of survival. The incident became a mirror, reflecting not just one man's mistake, but a system that thrived on silence. I decided that if I was going to stay, I would stay differently. I documented my work carefully, sought allies quietly, and invested in my own growth with renewed purpose. When the inevitable conversation came, it was not the confrontation I had feared. My boss, sober and subdued, carried the weight of his actions like a visible shadow. Accountability did not arrive as an apology alone, but as a series of changes that followed. Boundaries were acknowledged. Respect became explicit. The workplace began, slowly and imperfectly, to shift. I realized then that taking the lead was not about controlling others, but about refusing to abandon myself. It was about choosing integrity even when the outcome was uncertain, about trusting that self-respect has a way of reshaping the world around it. The real transformation, however, unfolded quietly over time. I found my voice in meetings, not louder but steadier. I mentored new colleagues, especially those who reminded me of my younger self, teaching them that professionalism does not require self-erasure. I pursued opportunities that once felt out of reach, no longer waiting for permission to step forward. The fear that had once governed my choices loosened its grip, replaced by a grounded confidence that came from knowing my worth. The memory of that Christmas party faded from sharp pain to quiet proof of resilience. What surprised me most was the space that opened for compassion. I learned that accountability and kindness are not enemies. Holding someone responsible does not require hatred, and forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means choosing not to let a single moment define an entire future. In choosing my own dignity, I found room to believe in change, both personal and collective. The workplace did not become perfect, but it became more human, shaped by conversations that once felt impossible. As another winter arrived, I walked past the same decorations with a different posture, aware of how far I had come. The lights still glowed, the music still played, but I was no longer invisible to myself. I understood that courage does not always roar. Sometimes it speaks calmly, sets a boundary, and walks away with grace. Sometimes it takes the lead not to dominate, but to protect what matters most. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of your own quiet battles or gave you strength to face something difficult, please take a moment to like, share, and comment on this video. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who may feel alone, and it keeps the Kindness Chronicles alive with voices that matter. Before you go, leave a comment with this line so we know you were here and felt it too: I choose dignity and kindness.